Few cities on Earth carry the weight of a name like Venice. This is not merely a city, it is a miracle, a defiance of nature itself, a testament to what human desperation and genius can build together. Born from catastrophe, raised above the waters, and forged through centuries of war, plague, and betrayal, Venice stands as the most improbable civilization ever created. It did not grow on fertile plains or beside protective mountains. It rose, impossibly, from a lagoon. And for over 1,600 years, it has refused to sink. The story of Venice does not begin with glory. It begins with terror. In the year 402 AD, the Visigoths under Alaric swept across northern Italy, leaving rivers of fire behind them. Then came Attila, the self-proclaimed scourge of God, and the destruction was total. Farmers, merchants, and nobles abandoned their cities and ran toward the water, because the water was the one thing that horses could not cross. The lagoon was not chosen for its beauty. It was chosen because it offered survival. These refugees, huddled on muddy islands, had nothing but their fear and their iron will to live. And from that fear, they built the most extraordinary city the world has ever seen. By the late 7th century, the scattered island communities began to unite under a single elected leader, the Doge. The first Doge, Paoluccio Anafesto, was elected in 697 AD, marking the birth of the Venetian Republic. But Venice was still young and fragile, a client state caught between the crumbling Byzantine Empire and the rising power of the Franks. The Republic's first true test came in 810 AD, when Charlemagne's son, Pepin, launched a full-scale naval invasion of the lagoon. His warships could not navigate the treacherous, shallow waters that Venice's flat-bottomed boats moved through with effortless ease. Pepin's fleet was devastated, and Venice learned its most enduring lesson. The lagoon was not a prison, it was a fortress.
In 828 AD,
Venetian merchants committed one of history's most audacious thefts. They smuggled the body of Saint Mark the Evangelist out of Alexandria in Egypt. They hid the sacred relics beneath layers of pork and cabbage, knowing that Muslim customs officials would not dare search through such items. Saint Mark became the eternal patron of Venice, and the iconic winged lion became the symbol of Venetian power forever after. The magnificent Basilica of San Marco was built in his honor, a monument of gold mosaics and Byzantine splendor that still stuns the world today. Then the Crusades arrived, and Venice transformed from a regional power into a global empire. When Pope Urban II called for the First Crusade in 1095, Venice did not see a holy mission, it saw a business opportunity. The Republic offered ships, supplies, and navigation to crusading armies in exchange for exclusive trading rights across the Eastern Mediterranean. By the 12th century, Venetian merchants had their own districts in Constantinople, Alexandria, and Acre. Venice was not an empire built on conquest alone. It was an empire built on contracts, cunning, and commerce. But no moment defines Venice's ruthless pragmatism more than the Fourth Crusade of 1202. The Crusaders arrived in Venice to hire ships for their holy mission and could not pay the agreed price. The Doge at the time, the legendary Enrico Dandolo, nearly blind and over 90 years old, made them an offer they could not refuse. Help Venice recapture the city of Zara, forgive the debt, and we sail together. The Crusaders agreed, and then Dandolo pushed further still. In 1204, this Christian army, led by a nearly blind 90-year-old Venetian, sacked the greatest Christian city in the world, Constantinople. The 4 bronze horses of San Marco, countless gold icons, silks, and manuscripts were loaded onto Venetian ships. It was one of the greatest acts of calculated betrayal in human history, and it made Venice the undisputed master of the Mediterranean. Then came the darkness that no army, no navy, and no wealth could stop. In 1347, Genoese trading ships arriving from the Black Sea brought the Black Death to Venice's shores. Within 18 months, the city lost over half its population. The canals, once filled with the sounds of commerce and celebration, echoed with the cries of the dying. Corpses piled up faster than they could be buried, and the Great Republic teetered on the edge of total oblivion. But Venice did not collapse. Instead, it invented something the world had never seen before. In 1377, Venice established the world's first quarantine system. Ships from infected regions were forced to anchor offshore for 40 days. The Venetian word for 40, quaranta, gave every language on earth the word quarantine. Even in the face of apocalyptic death, Venice innovated. From the ashes of plague, Venice rebuilt itself into the greatest commercial power on earth. By the 15th century, the Venetian fleet numbered over 3,000 vessels. The Arsenal, Venice's legendary shipyard, could build a fully equipped warship in a single day. Venetian glass from the island of Murano was coveted by kings and emperors across Europe. The great painters, Bellini, Giorgione, Titian, and Tintoretto, created masterworks that redefined what art itself could be. Venice was not just rich, it was the most sophisticated, cosmopolitan, and powerful republic on the planet. But in 1453, the world changed forever. The Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II conquered Constantinople, the very city Venice had ransacked 2 centuries before. Now the most powerful empire on earth stood between Venice and its eastern trade routes. The two powers clashed across the following century, culminating at the Battle of Lepanto in 1571, where a combined Christian fleet crushed the Ottoman navy in one of history's most decisive naval engagements. Venice put 62 of its own warships into that battle and emerged victorious, but exhausted. The slow erosion had begun. The discovery of new sea routes to Asia by the Portuguese had bypassed Venice entirely. The Atlantic replaced the Mediterranean as the highway of global commerce. Slowly, painfully, Venice's centuries of wealth and power began to fade. The Republic turned inward, to carnival, to masquerade, to the soaring music of Vivaldi and the luminous paintings of Canaletto. Venice became the playground of Europe's aristocracy, a city of masked balls, romantic canals, and gilded palaces floating on water. Beneath the beauty, however, the foundations were shifting. Then came Napoleon. In May 1797, without a single battle being fought, Napoleon Bonaparte forced the last Doge of Venice, Ludovico Manin, to abdicate. After 1100 years, the most serene Republic of Venice ceased to exist. Manin removed his ducal cap and handed it to his valet, saying quietly that he would not be needing it again. Napoleon looted the city, stripped its palaces, and handed Venice to Austria like a trophy of war. The city that had never been conquered by military force fell to a signature on a document. Venice passed between Austria and the Kingdom of Italy through the 19th century, finally becoming part of unified Italy in 1866. Today, Venice faces a different kind of battle, one that no army, No plague and no emperor ever managed to win. The city is sinking slowly, relentlessly, as sea levels rise and the ancient wooden foundations beneath its buildings decay. Floods now regularly inundate St. Mark's Square, the sacred heart of a city that survived 1,000 years of human catastrophe. Yet Venice endures. Flood barriers, restoration projects, and global preservation efforts fight to keep the miracle alive. Over 13 million tourists walk its stones every year, treading the same paths as crusaders, merchants, doges, and plague survivors. From a handful of terrified refugees huddled on muddy islands in a lagoon, to the greatest maritime empire the Mediterranean has ever known. This is the story of Venice. A story of survival against every force the world could throw at it. Barbarian armies, Byzantine emperors, Ottoman sultans, the Black Death, Napoleon, and now the rising sea itself. For 1,600 years, Venice has looked at the water rising around it and said, "Not yet. See you in the past."